Call this meeting to order, the Rockledge City Council regular meeting, Wednesday, October the 18th, 2017, and it is 6 p.m. Clerk, has this meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, it has.
Go ahead with the roll call.
Mayor Price?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilman Ferguson?
Here.
Councilman O'Neill?
Here.
Councilman Dasky?
Here.
Councilman Hartzell?
Here.
City Attorney Maniclier?
Here.
City Manager Fetro?
Here.
And Councilman Forrester is out.
Okay. Please stand tonight for our invocation. Councilman Dasky will be doing our invocation, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please bow with me. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and ask for your guidance and direction on the meeting that we're about to have, and let us make the best decisions for the city of Rockledge. We also ask that you watch over the people that are still dealing with the effects of the the disasters, the hurricanes and the flooding. Please be with them and help them through those difficult times and get them back to where they were before the storms. Also, please watch over our military men and women, our first responders, and bring them home safely. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. Okay, the council has before them the minutes of the regular meeting, October 4th, 2017. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on October 4th, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. No presentations tonight. Financial report.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Move to be in the receipt of the financial budget report for the month of September 2017.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any discussion on the report before you? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public hearings, ordinance. Second reading and public hearing, ordinance number 1721-2017. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I offer for second reading and public hearing ordinance number 1721-2017, rezoning Pineapple Farms Living from R2 to R3.
Title only? Did you say?
By title only, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. City Attorney.
Ordinance number 1721-2017, an ordinance of the City of Rockledge, Brevard County, Florida, changing the zoning classification from the R2 Single Family Residential District to the R3 Multifamily Residential District in Planning District 4 of approximately 0.65 acres located at 1492 South Fisk Boulevard in the City of Rockledge, as more particularly described in the body of this ordinance, amending the zoning ordinance and the zoning map of the City of Rockledge to reflect the change of zoning affected by this ordinance, directing the city manager to forthwith cause the appropriate designation to be made on the face of the official city zoning map, indicating the new zoning classification of the property described in this ordinance, declaring that invalidity of any portion hereof shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, providing for the effective date hereof and for other purposes.
At this time, I open this to the public. Is there anybody that'd like to speak on the public hearing on the rezoning of Pineapple Farms Living from R2 to R3? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this rezoning of Pineapple Farms Living from R2 to R3? Seeing none, close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I move for the adoption of the ordinance.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Reports from boards and committees. Who's going to give me that one?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Move to be in receipt of the minutes of the following meetings. The Fire Employees Retirement Board minutes of meeting on August 17th, 2017. The General Employees Retirement Board minutes of meeting on August 17th, 2017. the Police Employees Retirement Board minutes of meeting on August 17th, 2017, and the Planning Commission minutes of meeting on October 3rd, 2017.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Sorry, I'm trying to swallow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Unfinished business, approval of enterprise software license and servicing agreement, BS&A. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, as you recall, since July of this past year, staff and city attorney, we've been researching a software solution for the city. A lot of research, discussion, development, piggybacking on the West Melbourne contract. So an extensive process has been gone through. And so we are recommending, and the contract is before you. The city attorney and myself have reviewed the contract, every word of it. And so we're recommending for your approval BS&A as the enterprise software solution for the city of Rockledge.
Anybody have any questions of the city attorney or the city manager? Everybody understands what we're doing. We've discussed this for several months now.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to July, I believe it was. City attorney, did you want to say anything?
Just that we added words to it.
I know you did.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I move for the approval of the enterprise software license and services agreement with BSA.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move forward, city manager.
Thank you.
Action item, determination of curative discretionary contribution to the city manager 401 retirement account. The finance director, you want to come forward? At this time, city attorney, can we ask the city manager to step out of the room, or is that kosher?
You can, she's not a member of the council.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Okay. She didn't feel comfortable with being in here. So,
In that case, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about it not being a forum. That's the only thing.
yeah.
You never know what might be here when you get back.
Go ahead, Mr. Trine.
Thank you, sir. Matthew Trine, Finance Director, City of Rockledge, 1600 Huntington Lane. What you have before you, included in the agenda packet, is some documentation that relays the story of implementing the 401A to allow the city manager to effectively opt out of the general employees pension plan, as allowed in her contract negotiated with the city via the city attorney prior to her employment last year. Because implementing that plan required going through the pension boards and going through council and several other things, the implementation of that literally took until September the 29th of this year to get her money actually funded into the plan. In contemplating that, she obviously forewent any kind of investment income she might have gotten on her retirement plan throughout the year. So I've implemented kind of two scenarios on the third page of the enclosed document that showed a rate of return of 3.5%, which is what the 401A has as a guaranteed investment vehicle, and then another one that shows a rate of the combined three major stock indices of the United States, including the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Dow. So those two things, depending on where we would be looking at, would provide an additional amount of either $119.45 or $507.60. Our plan, our 401A plan, does allow an employer discretionary contribution if the council was to want to approve taking any action to cure what had happened as far as the dollars of her investment per the contract that were delayed going into the 401A plan. So with that, I'm just making, I'm not making a real recommendation other than that it be discussed, that this was an event that happened that was outside of the city manager's control, that went through a process, and then from there, just formalize whether or not the council feels that a discretionary contribution to cure the situation is warranted, and if so, how much?
Okay. Does everybody understand what he is requesting? This is something the finance director came up with himself. The city manager had no knowledge of this when he brought this up, so this is up to him to present it to us. And it's entirely up to this council. We don't have to take any action at all. Or if you want to make it fair, we could go with the minimum or the maximum, which is $119 or $507, or anywhere in between. It all depends on what anybody else here has any input on. So I'm looking for input from the council.
We don't have anything we can base our determination on from another city employee because she's completely independent in her methodology. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So we're not comparing an apple and an apple.
This is the only apple.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to check.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I kind of looked at it and it's, if we go with the high amount, it's not a lot of money. The low amount seems kind of ridiculous, but I understand it's investment and that's kind of what it is. But I kind of took an average of the two, and that comes up to like $313.53. So if you wanted to do an average, we could do something like that. I think we need to do something, is my opinion. I would definitely support doing something, and I'm kind of, again, I'm not on the low end. I'm not sure I want to do the high end. I mean, I could be talked into that real easy. But again, the average is $313.53.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
I have one more.
Go ahead.
Which one of these would she get next year? Which percentage rate?
It's impossible for me to
Yeah, you
determine.
don't know.
So that's not,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to see which one would she have gotten had she been involved in this since her first day of employment?
It's a self-directed investment policy, so she can invest in whatever is available within the 401A, because that's personal information pertinent pretty much only to her. I haven't requested from her the knowledge of how she chose to invest her funds, to be quite honest. I just felt that would be inappropriate for me to ask her.
That's fine. I just,
But it could be, it would be a crystal ball, kind of guesstimate. I'd hate to
no crystal balls.
exactly give you inaccurate information.
Yes.
So money that she would normally have accrued sat in our pocket
Absolutely.
and did not gain. And
That's-
as a result, we're making that up to her.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what happened.
John,
Should you choose?
do you have anything? Yes. Joe? Okay, I'm looking for some kind of direction from the council. We can also take no action at all. So it's entirely up to the council.
I think taking no action is the wrong way to go.
Okay.
This was at no fault of hers.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion then.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we would, as Mr. Dasky said, somewhere split it, I would go that we would put $350 of interest money into that account.
Okay.
That's just about in the middle, and it doesn't go down to pennies.
Right. I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Everybody understands what we're doing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
What's that? Okay, consent business, Mr. Dasky.
Yes, sir. Move for the approval of these consent business items. The first one is International Association of Firefighters, the IAFF agreement for the city manager. Second is declaration of surplus property and subsequent sale of said property for the Department of Public Safety. C, agreement with ProChamps vacant property registry for the city manager and the Department of Public Safety. D, travel authorization for the Florida League of Cities 57th Annual Legislative Conference, December 6th through the 8th, Orlando, for Councilman Hartzell. E is the approval of maintenance agreement with Rocha Controls for SCADA system wastewater treatment. And Finally, the agreement with InSource Solutions for standard level support program for organization and display of SCADA information for the wastewater treatment department.
We have a motion on consent.
Second.
We have a second. This is consent business. There is no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business. Action item, City Employees Group Health Insurance Recommendation, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, the memo just behind the agenda item explains things very carefully, but let me see if I can't summarize. I'm hopeful that we will get the approval of the annual renewals of the health, dental, life insurance benefits for the city employees. And by the way, we do have Sean Fleming in the audience, who's with the Gehring Group, should you have any questions of him. So that's one item. I don't know if you want to take things one at a time, Mayor, or how you'd like to do this. Just talk it through?
Let's get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
What was budgeted this year for the increase?
Well, as you all recall in Budget and Finance, I started at 10% because we thought the increase might be as high as 10%. And then I landed on 8%. So currently we have 8% budgeted this fiscal year for a health insurance increase. Luckily, with the plan that we've essentially keeping benefits the same, I'll say, it's a 4.1% increase. And I have one item, though, that if council so chose, it's 4.1% with the city absorbing that increase, if you will, for the employee, which the city has historically done, provides coverage for employee. But there is a premium for employees who pick employee plus one or employee plus family. And so down at the bottom of the memo, I would respectfully ask council to consider if paying the premium increase for said employees, which would amount to a total of about $14,500, which, if approved, technically would be a 4.8% increase for the city.
And we're still under budget then?
Still way under budget, Mayor, as well as the 175 internal insurance fund could pay for that as well. There's sufficient funds in there also.
Okay, everybody has these 20 or 30 pages that's in their package. They've had time to review it. Does anybody have any questions of the city manager on the renewal of the health insurance plan for the city employees?
I don't have a question, but I have a statement. And, you know, when I looked at that, to come in at 4% or 4.1, and even if we do the other one to 4.8, is absolutely incredible. You know, it's seeing insurance premiums increasing, and this year they're going to continue to increase. That is a fantastic news whenever I seen that. So.
And you are in the health insurance business, right?
Yes, sir.
So you would know. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would like to add with the city manager comments there, and I've said this many times, I think it's great to take the time to look at how we can better support our employees. And it's obvious this is well thought of and most timely.
Good. Anybody else have any comments or any questions? So we're looking for a motion to approve the renewals of the health, dental, and life insurance benefits to city employees. Also approve for this year only, covering the increase in employee insurance premiums out of the city's internal service insurance fund, and approve the option to offer employees new health insurance products.
Do you, can we do that as one motion, or does it have to be three separate?
It's one motion if you want to make it, though.
Okay.
You don't have to break it up. It's all one subject, the health insurance.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Move to approve the renewal of the health, dental, and life insurance benefits for the city employees, as well for this year only, covering the increase in the employee insurance premiums out of the city's internal service insurance fund, and also to approve the option to offer employees new health insurance products.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Any questions or further discussion? None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Petitions, remonstrances, and communications. What?
May I, one other decision point that I unfortunately didn't make it on the one document. The FSA plan, that flexible spending plan that y'all did offer or authorized to allow that as a new product. I was also going to ask, there's a $4.60 charge per participant per month that I would respectfully ask if employees take advantage of it, that we consider paying for that small administrative fee. A third-party company would administer that, the FSA plan.
Well, that was in that package, and I assume that's
It
what
was,
we
okay.
just, I assume
So
that's what we just approved with the option to offer employees.
Okay, then if that's
That was
the
in your
understanding,
package talking
I'm
about the
good.
$4.60.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor.
You all right?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Petitions, remonstrances, and communications. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this city council about anything to do with the city of Rockledge? It's your opportunity. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this city council about anything to do with city of Rockledge? Seeing none, let's move on. Report, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Please bear with me as I do have several items tonight. The first item is just a friendly reminder to council that several months ago, the city attorney discussed with us about having a city-issued cell phone. So I just wanted a friendly reminder to council that if you are interested, it is in the budget, and so please see Mr. Trine if you're interested in getting a city-issued cell phone. Next item is the Civic Hub project just to our east. Those plans that are 90% complete, and with council's, I'll say, permission or approval, I'd like to invite that consultant to a meeting in either November or perhaps the first meeting in December to do, frankly, one last review and presentation to y'all to make sure it contains all the elements that you all want it to contain. I know it's been a little while since we've seen that, those plans, so I'd like to bring them back. So if that's okay, I see several heads shaking yes. Is that okay with council to do that?
You
Okay,
have that
wonderful.
direction. It looks that
Wonderful.
way.
Okay, perfect. And let's see. Next item, believe it or not, it's about 45 days out from being my one-year anniversary. And so as part of my contract, and I'm happy to do it, we'll have a one-on-one with each of you. So just FYI, Margaret will be reaching out probably next week to arrange a one-on-one with each councilman to discuss any progress, well, the progress we've made and/or any feedback that you may have. And then I'll compile a report, a progress report, to bring back to the entire council probably in the month of December. Okay. And next item.
Who will be contacting us for that, Margaret?
Margaret.
Okay.
Yes. Last meeting, we had a discussion about Fire Station 2. And so in front of you is sort of a working document, if you will, to discuss the financing plan of that Fire Station 2. And then Mr. Manicolier and I will talk about the potential for a construction plan. But first, the financing of it. I have a letter of intent from the bank that I discussed with you all last meeting. And at the sort of the bottom of the document, if you will, or the bottom of the graph, it shows you how I came to the number of 2.5 if you wish to purchase an engine as part of this financing. And in the action plan for the next 5 years, in 2019, the city had planned to purchase a fire engine. So if council wishes to purchase a fire engine as well as demo and to rebuild Fire Station 2 and the $500,000 or so on the existing note, it's option A or B. The main decision point in options A or B, if you wish to purchase an engine, are the years of term. So you're looking at either maybe a 7-year term or a 10-year term. And then if you wish to not purchase the fire engine, it's option C or D, again, additionally with a 7-year or a 10-year term. So I'll be quiet for a minute and see if y'all have questions,
Okay.
or Mayor, back to you.
I've discussed this in detail with the city manager over the last 2 weeks, possibly, maybe 3 weeks. And I like the idea of purchasing the engine right now myself. It's entirely up to this council what we do. Paying off the balance of the monies owed to the police department and buying the engine now. But I like the 7-year plan instead of the 10-year plan, and because it saves $227,000 in interest for those 3 extra years, or saves $100,000. I'm sorry. It's only It's $227,000 in interest instead of $328,000 in interest. And that's just my opinion. And it's $80,000 more, approximately $80,000 more than we're paying right now on the police department. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I will tell you that I also discussed this with the city manager, and first of all, the fixed rate of 2.5%
is amazing.
We're never, ever going to get that, probably in our lifetimes again. So for that reason alone, I think you have to buy the fire engine right now, simply because if we wait till next year or even the year after, rates are going to increase. We're in an increasing rate environment. They're going to continue to increase. I don't ever see them coming back to this level. So for that standpoint alone, I think you do it all now. And I'll kind of throw out the other option, the 10-year versus the 7-year. I'm okay with the 7-year because you do save the money. But I kind of like the 10-year because it reduces the outflow, and you have the option of prepaying that. If we have that money available, you prepay it, and that's also going to save you the money. But if you come along a difficult time, not that we anticipate that, but if we did, it's still going to have that lower payment. So I kind of like the 10-year versus the 7-year.
Which is approximately the same payment we're paying now.
Correct.
Anybody else have anything?
In reviewing it myself, I didn't get a chance to talk to Dr. Fetra, but in reviewing it myself, I started thinking about if we have this opportunity to get 2.5% loan now, if we want to pay off in 2019, we were going to buy the engine anyway, and it would be in our normal budget plan, we could pay it down then.
Okay.
But it keeps our options open, and it gives us the engine now when we need it.
Okay, which plan do you like better, the 7 or 10?
I like the 7-year plan with the engine.
Anybody else? This side?
I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of thinking that Mr. Dasky may be going the right direction with the 10-year plan. There is no early payoff penalty, am I correct?
Correct.
So we could go to the 10-year plan. We do have that referendum coming up in 2018 on ad valorem taxes, that the estimates I've seen anywhere from $1,006,000 to just under $500,000. Still, I can't find two people who understand the proposed referendum, the constitutional initiative. So with the 10-year plan, and previously I've discussed with our finance director the status of our debt service, and we're paying it down. We're going the right direction quickly. So with the 10-year plan, that might spread this out if we need it.
Okay.
If we don't, we can pay it without penalty. And there might be money in a couple years, we could pay it off if we wanted to, the money that we're normally now putting into debt service. So I think the 10-year plan makes sense if there's no prepayment penalty.
Okay. Dr. Smith? Okay. Sean Ferguson, you okay?
Yes, sir. I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. City Attorney.
One thing I remind the council of is that the lender is not asking to increase the revenue stream that would secure the note. It's going to remain exactly what it was. I believe it's a utility fee. They've asked for nothing else in security,
Correct.
to my understanding.
Correct.
So that is unheard of. I have never known a banker who didn't want more security than anything was worth.
The interest rate's actually going down. Currently on the note, it's 2.87%. They've gone down to 2.50. It's remarkable.
Again, unheard of.
And the other thing you may want to remember and keep in the back of your mind is we have an insurance claim with the league for the roof and everything.
That's
on,
true.
And that may
For
be,
the prepayment at that time, too.
that could be another down
Great
payment
plan.
on
I
everything.
forgot about that. I wasn't thinking about that, yeah.
Just so the financing on this is
That's why we pay the city attorney big bucks.
yes, big is really relative. But you know, there's a lot of upsides to doing it now. Are we still talking about that buying the engine this year?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great deal.
Right.
Another great deal. So just thought I'd throw that out.
I'm looking for direction from the city council.
Go ahead.
I'll yield, you thought of it.
Mr. Dasky, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with the loan, have Dr. Fatro go forward with it on option A, the $2.5 million at 2.5%, 10-year term, with no prepayment penalty.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? I have no problem with the 10-year after you explained it, and also the fact that we can pay down once we get that insurance settlement. I call the question.
Chairman, just as you, I had an opportunity to discuss this with the city manager. We're going over it. I'm satisfied with it as well.
Okay. I call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. A it is.
Okay, thank you very much, council, and
Floor, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just FYI, Chief Lasada must have been doing some research, and there is a fire engine that is a demo that potentially might be available by the end of this week or next week, and so thank you very much for your support and approval. We might even be able to save more money on the engine if we're able to get it this early, this quickly. So we may be putting a down payment on it as early as Friday or early next week, so thank you again. Moving on towards the construction side, if you will, of Fire Station 2, the decision point, and perhaps City Attorney can help me as well, but the decision point is, does council wish to utilize a design-build process or sort of a full bidding process, if you will? My understanding is, and after reading the entire file, the council utilized a design-build process with which to build the police station.
And it worked really well.
And that was my understanding, and I'm
We had very
hearing
good
it.
experience with that.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
We've discussed it, and that is, in fact, what we would recommend to council, is to utilize a design-build process, quite likely with the same engineering architectural firm that the city used at that time, get plans, if you will, to maybe 80-85% complete, and then help us determine the parameters with which to bid for the construction company, and it was very efficient. I understand it came in under budget and under the timeline, and it was just very, very efficient. I don't know if you
Everybody
have any
understand that,
questions.
what we're doing? Okay, we're looking for a motion to move forward with a design plan,
Design-build plan.
design-build plan. I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd move that we proceed with the Fire Station number 2's reconstruction or rebuild with a design-build plan.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. You still have the floor, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's also a letter before you from County Commissioner Pritchett. For the last 8 or 9 years, I've served on the North Brevard Economic Development Zone Board, long title. Anyway, as an appointee of the county commissioner, Commissioner Pritchett has asked me to sit on that board again for another term, and I'm just asking for council's consideration or permission with which to do that.
Anybody got any problem with the city manager sitting on that board?
I think it's a phenomenal idea. The more interaction we can have with other municipalities and governmental entities, it only puts us in a better light. I would move that we authorize it without exception.
Second.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
And a second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Still got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Last item, and thank you very much, Council, for that support. Lastly, beginning tomorrow morning, I will be out of town in Savannah, Georgia, and through Sunday evening. And so Mr. Matthew Trine, our finance director, will be acting city manager until my return. I will have my cell phone on and available. If you should wish to call me, please do, but Mr. Trine will be acting city manager. Thank you very much, Mayor. Back to you. Yes, sir.
Okay, city attorney litigation report, I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Move to be in receipt of the city attorney litigation report dated October 5th, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. City Attorney.
The only major change is on case 2, the forfeiture of $77,000. I noticed it for trial. I've received the initial court directives concerning potential requirements for stipulating dates for certain goals during the trial. It is a jury trial, and I don't know whether we're going to be able to settle this when we will go to court-ordered mediation somewhere along the line in there. But
won't they order mediation first?
The process, we get a direction from the court. They have an administrator who says, give us a stipulation as to the dates, and they give us a large number of trial dates, the periods where the judges are going to be trying jury trials. And we see if we can come to an agreement. If we can't, I file one of the documents and they file their own. Then they have other things, when expert witnesses are going to be disclosed, so on and so on and so on. And about number 7 on the list is when you're going to mediate. And then what the court will do based upon what the stipulation is, if there is one. Without it, they'll just enter an order saying these are the dates. You have this by this date, you have that by that date. Pretrial, this by this date, and go to mediation, complete it by this date. So that's the way we go, and then they give us a trial date. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of the city attorney?
Seconded the last one.
Wasn't me.
Why not?
Okay, let's move on. Reports from the dais. City clerk? City attorney?
Nothing else. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Hartzell.
Just want to make note of the event that occurred Friday evening, the St. Mary's 100th anniversary. If anybody's interested, I've got the bulletins and things that came from that. It was very nice with the bishop and over 30 priests performing a mass. And big celebration afterwards. You missed some good food. Nothing else to report.
I pass.
Councilman Dansky, Dr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Once again, I want to just mention mine in the form of commendation. First of all, the luncheon picnic pizza for the Public Works employees today. You should have seen the smile and the appreciation that they felt, Mr. Poole and his group. They were so pleased and thankful that this was put on, and it just made, they were very friendly. I mean, they were very sociable. They just enjoyed it, and it was just a very good community employees relation we had up there today. So,
Great.
Mr. Poole and Dr. Petro and the staff, congratulations. And number 2, there's another commendation that will go to Public Works Director Poole and City Manager Dr. Petro. We had a few calls referencing the Virginia Park. And what I have found, of all these years I've served, what I've seen happen just recently, Dr. Petro, as the city manager, once these attention was brought to her, I deal directly with the city manager. I get complaints, I don't deal with the staff, what I'm saying, I don't put it on you because it might, I deal with the city manager. And those incidents, situations that came up after the flooding, the city manager personally not only talked to the individual on the phone, but went out there and visited the situation, and so did Mr. Poole, our Public Works Director. This is unprecedented, and congratulations, and you have some happy people in the Virginia Park subdivision. Thank you very much. Let's get on. I yield, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Ferguson.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to share that I did have the opportunity to attend over the weekend the Institute for Elected Municipal Officers in Jacksonville. It was 8 to 5 Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday, and 8 to 4, or 8 to 3, I believe, on Sunday. So it was yes, yes, sir. But it was very, very informative, and I'm glad I had the opportunity. And also, it included the ethics training that we have to have. So it was great. It was great. Thank you again for allowing me to attend. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor O'Neill.
Yes, sir. I'll be quick. That'll happen. I gave you a quick, short handout. I was able to attend the Federal Action Strike Team with the Florida League of Cities in Washington, D.C. the past week. It was a unique event. Governor Scott showed up. We didn't know he was coming, and we were starting Wednesday morning, but not as early as he was going to be there. So we were able to get our team together and meet him at the Capitol when Governor Scott discussed the impacts of Hurricane Irma on Florida, both tourism and agriculture. He was accompanied by Commissioner of Agriculture Putnam, and it went really well. I've got to tell you, they listened to him. There was some disgruntled participants, but it went really well, and they did a great job explaining just how much damage Florida's sustaining, that the citrus is falling from the trees. And not only did the citrus fall, but the people that pick the citrus are now unemployed, and the people that they shop with are going to lose money. So it has a trickle-down effect. We divided into 3 teams. We met with 16 members of Congress and 2 senatorial staffs. What was interesting is we had the opportunity, and this is my first opportunity, to meet with newly elected Congresswoman Val Demings and Stephanie Murphy. I am happy to say that they were up to speed when we walked into the room, and I don't always see that. Sometimes you tell them about a concern, well, tell me more, I don't know what you're talking about. They knew what we were talking about, they had positive input, they took notes. And my multiple trips up there, if they're not interested, they sit back, yes, thank you for coming.
Right.
If they write something down and ask questions, that's positive. Primary topics were the FEMA de-obligations, or what they call clawbacks, is where FEMA allotted money 10 years in the past, and then decided they did it wrong and they want the money back. And they were well informed about that. The National Flood Insurance Program is scheduled to expire December the 8th of this year, unless Congress supports it again. They did a short gap from September to December. We pointed that out to them. We again pushed them for tax reform is a big topic right now in the Capitol, and we want to make sure that we don't know what's going on, but to keep municipal bonds tax-free. That's their constituents' methodology for paying for infrastructure that the federal government doesn't have to buy because we do. Help us continue to do that. They also discussed community development block grants, known as CDBG, and TIGER, which is Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery, which has to deal with roads. It was an informative trip. The only souvenir I brought back was a head cold. It was good. Next thing, November 1st, my Boy Scouts are coming back. I've got 2 different groups I hope are coming in. They're coming to the November 1st meeting. And finally, one more Boy Scout thing. There she is in the back, Alex. We have an Eagle Scout project that took from March of 2016 until 2 weeks ago to finish. He was a ball of fire that fizzled, and he got reignited when his mother got involved. But he was putting mileage signage around Don Griffin Trail around Lake Betsy at the McKnight Family Sports Complex. We got those up, and they're done, and they came out great. My thanks to Public Works for their assistance. He couldn't have done it without them. And I yield.
What are they saying, Pat, about the clawbacks?
What it amounts to is the storms we had in 04 and 05, FEMA had representatives in the field. You would go to FEMA and say, is this reimbursable? Oh, yeah. And they write you a check. Then 10 years later, the Office of the Inspector General,
I know what they did, but what did they say about getting our money that we're supposed to have gotten, they pulled back on us?
this is still a work in progress. I don't know that they're still litigating a lot of that from 04 and 05. It's kind of ironic. One of the people that took this trip is Deputy Mayor Dan Daly from Coral Springs. As he looked at the congressional leaders, he goes, I was in high school when this happened. I've now graduated law school. I'm the deputy mayor of my city, and we're still talking about this. What we're attempting, the major objective here is to get them to break these projects down to much smaller scale. All the projects in Florida were combined. And when everybody finished their project, they were then submitted to FEMA. So that's when the clock started. And they have 3 years or whatever it was to go back and review it. But the clock doesn't start till the last project's done. They're trying now, if the city of Rockledge has a project that we're going to get FEMA money for, when our project's done, that's when the clock starts. 3 years from that date, it's hands off. They're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
I know.
Yes, but it.
I don't think we'll ever see it. Do you, Matthew? And that was like $400,000?
Is this from 04 and 05?
05, yeah.
Okay. But it, we may not get that back, but we might be able to prevent it from ever happening again.
Yeah, that's the key.
So our argument was the city employee we had that went out and did the request is no longer here, and the FEMA adjuster that approved it is no longer there.
Exactly.
So you've got nobody to interview. How did you come up with this?
Right. Okay, there's nothing else before this council?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I forgot to ask about the fire department delivery of the candy at Halloween.
Oh, yes. How are we doing that? Chief?
That'll be before we meet again.
Good evening, council. The annual Halloween handout will occur as it has in years past. I was going to send out an email at either Friday or Monday to all of you, invite anybody that was interested in coming along. So as we're on schedule.
Okay.
What time and where?
Well, I don't have that specific detail with me right now, but I mean.
We'll get an email on it then.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else before this council? I adjourn this meeting at 7:48.
648.
6:48.